Hey, what is going on? Doing some more VOD reviews today, so um, yeah, let's jump into it. This is my current deck list right now, so let me go over the card by card real quick. I'm on 4 Nami, 3 of the Fat Zoros, 2 Frankie, 4 Usohachi, 4 Zorojuro, 4 Sanji Pudding, 3 of the Rush Luffy, 4 of the Sanji Blocker, 2 Luffy Taro, 3 Dead Man's Game, 1 Zero Cost, 4 Event Searcher, 4 Gungam Giant, 3 Bagua, 1 Brush Up Blow, and 4 of the stage. So what I pretty much did was I took Skepbass's list that I mentioned in the last video, and then I believe I went down one on of one of the zero costs and up the Dead Man's Game, just because I think more and more I've been liking I've been liking the event more and more now that I've played with it. So I've changed my mind quite a bit on the effectiveness of it. So, and I think if you play how I do, where you're floating like a billion dawn at the end of a lot of your turns, then it's not really a brick in hand. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me pop this up and um, get into the games. And these games I'm going over today, like I'll be honest, I had like no business winning probably both of these to be honest, but you'll see why. Let me just make sure the speed is whoops set and start. So I win the dice roll and I opt to go second. Opponent mulligans and draws. I end up keeping the hand because I have a searcher and I have a Zorojuro for my 4-down play. So start with the searcher, grab a Dead Man's Game, just because I think it's really good in this matchup. Swing 5 and then play the Zorojuro, snap grab a Sanji Pudding, making sure to push my 2k and my events up to the top. So opponent goes to 5 and they play a Bonney blocker, which is really good for us. This is probably like the weakest thing they could have played because they don't even get to use like the cycle and restand event. Because of this, I just since they don't have a Dawn active, I decided to like going aggro here is probably the right option. So I play Sanji Pudding, and then since I rip a stage off of the stage, like normally this kind of sucks, but here, even though our Zorojuro is turned sideways, we can double boost with stage here. So this like plays around carrot. So play the event to cycle another brick because at this point I don't think swinging 6 or 7 is going to be that big of a deal. They're probably going to end up taking it. And then I swing 6 and pass. Opponent just jams big into the Zorojuro, and I opt to try and save it. And then opponent swings another 7 at it. So I think this is like the first big mistake of the game. I'm just so down in resources now. I think initially I was like, I mean, I'm GP Luffy. I can probably recur those resources back, but I don't have. The only thing that lets me go hand neutral here is a Zorojuro, and so I don't think that was initially correct. Now I'm like super star for counter. I only have counter events, so even turning the Sanji Pudding starts getting a little bit dangerous for me. So I probably should have let the Zorojuro go in all honesty. I rest the Zorojuro again, counters out, and then I have to swing another 7 at it, and he gives me the blocker. Our opponent goes to 9. There's like a bunch of things that they can play here. That's not good, but now he swings a 6, now I have to let it go. So this Zorojuro like barely got me any additional value, and I lost like 4 cards for it. And then he Shanks away my Sanji Pudding, which is really bad. So now, another good thing though is like he's not able to leader ability this turn, so I have free reign on how I'm swinging. I play the Frankie just as like a pseudo Sanji Pudding at this point. And then I try and get this blocker off the field finally, and then play my own blocker to try and save this Luffy Taro in case he jams the Shanks into it. But he opts to go for the safer kill onto the Zorojuro instead and decides to play another Shanks. So now, like, his board is really scary. My board's kind of shit. And yeah, it can get pretty bad here. So I think about it for a bit, and then ideally, regardless of what I swing here, I think my opponent will opt to take, because if I swing a 7 here and he counters, he only has 3 in hand, and then he's sort of like at the risk of like dying potentially. So and I'm just valuing the ramp here at this moment. So he taps down my leader, which I think was a little odd. I think probably tapping down the blocker at this point is probably correct. And since I'm so healthy on life, I decide not to leader ability here because I don't mind taking damage at this point. So he clears the Frankie, and then now he starts trying to kill. Rip a Sanji putting off a life, and he plays a kid, but no blockers. So I think one good thing about this game is because I swung so heavily into the Bonney earlier and he was aggressively defending it, I guess that just ate a lot of resources out of this Bonney player's hand. So I play the Sanji pudding, and I opt to cycle the stage out here, which I don't even think is necessarily correct. I just get greedy looking for plays, and then I swing, let's see, 11 at it. And he taps down my Sanji pudding, which is signaling to me that like he's gonna try and find a way to like remove this somehow or swing into it, which is a little scary. I think in this position it gets a little tricky for both of us, because if he Hodies here, oh, do I just die to Hody? I think I potentially just die to Hody here, to be honest. Yeah, if he Hodies here and he doesn't kill me, then he definitely, like, he has a big chance of dying on the crackback. But I've been floating Dawn for a little while, so he should probably have the read that I have at least one counter event in my hand. So I definitely think I die to Hody in this position. I didn't really think about that at the time. But I think just because like I'm at 2 life, my opponent is not thinking about killing this turn. And then so I Gum Gum Giant out of that. I block the Sanji Pudding swing. And then the opponent just decides to play a Dofi. And then I make the read to just try and kill this turn instead of playing for another turn. So I just tap him 11-11 and I get there. And like, I think there's a couple lines I could have actually taken. So instead of trying to go for the kill there, I think another option would have maybe to play a Sanji Pudding, leader ability, and then try and play for another turn. But then I would potentially have to deal with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swings, and I only really have like, yeah, it would have been tricky because I like 3 of the swings need to connect. And I think it would depend on the swing order. Like if the opponent like plays the Hody down first, like it wouldn't matter because I would have floated like a ton of Dawn to play around it. And he swings something like 8-8, then that's like really easy to counter out and he would lose there. But if he started something like a 10 and I have the Gum Gum Giant out of the first one, which I probably can do, and then he swings the Shanks after, I might be able to get out of that one. But then the third Shank swing, Actually, then the highest he can swing is like, I guess he could go like 11, 15, or split like with leader and Shanks and not play the Hody. Oh no, if that's the case and I counter out of the first two, then he has to play the Hody to get 3 swings in. Which in that case, I think it can get a little dicey either way. So I'm not sure exactly what the correct line was. And then on my side, I think if just the fact that he let the kid die so easily, as well as the as well as me eating up counter early in the game while swinging into the blocker Bonney, I think maybe trying to kill here wasn't as bad either. But I definitely think, yeah, this was like a very sloppy game from both of our sides, I think. And I honestly, I probably should have just died that one turn. If he, instead of playing Dofi, he just tries to kill with Hody instead. But yeah, but somehow we get there and we just steal and absolutely like a game we probably shouldn't have won. Next up is against Reiju, which don't see a ton of, but and I thought this matchup, it's probably favored for us, but I realized after playing it can get a little tricky. So opponent wins dice roll and opts to go second, and then I play Event Searcher and I grab a Frankie when I probably, this was my first mistake of the game. I probably should have grabbed the Nami instead, because a Frankie, I'm always going to be less done than them, so this Frankie doesn't really do anything. So I probably should have just gotten the Nami to search up for more follow-up plays. So lucky for us, like our opponent whiffs on stage. I poke 5, he counters out, and then countering out is interesting there, but probably if he's countering out with the big Reiju, then he's gonna summon the little Reiju next turn. And then yeah, I just search one time and I don't do anything else with the Dawn. If I searched properly, then I probably could have gotten a more reasonable body to play later, or more counter, rather than just having this Frankie. So ditches an EGG, gets a Reiju. Not sure if it's the big one or the small one. Oh, it's the small one. It's the baby. So he swings 5. I take, get a Bagua. I decide to ramp up so I can play the Sanji Pudding into Zorojiro play, so I get a little bit lucky there. So opponent opts to play little into big and then just draw cards, leave 2 up, swing 5, and do the thing. And then he swings 6 twice. And I opt to counter out of both, because on 3, this could mean he goes portion to Ichiji, which is probably the worst thing we can see. But I don't want to take the chance. Oh, but I decided to take that one anyways. Interesting. Opponent opts to play just the Porsche and play the Ichiji without transforming, which I think makes sense on his part as well. Because he like the opponent probably wants to use like the power minus effect. So here on my 7, I play another Sanji Pudding. Let's see. I swing 6, gives a 2k. Swing another 6, which he double 1ks out of. Which kind of gives us the read that he doesn't have a lot of counter. And then I opt to play a Zorojiro. I actually think there's another line we could have done here, where after I play this Sanji Pudding and I leader ability, I can instead play Dead Man's Game and tap down the Ichiji and then swing 6 into it with leader. And then he probably lets this go, because if he ends up trying to save it, it's really bad, and then he can't. He loses like the body for next turn. So, but because I didn't do that, and because I know he wants to use this to minus my Sanji Pudding down and swing into it, I opt to leave the Sanji pudding standing, which is good and bad because one, we lose pressure to life, so it's gonna take like we lose a 7k pressure to life, but then now the opponent doesn't get to minus this down and kill it for free. Our opponent tries to squeeze extra value by swinging with the baby first before transforming, and goes 6-6, 6. And then I opted giant here, but I think I should have just taken and gianted the. Yeah, I think I should have just taken and opted giant the HG swing, because I get a 2k, and if he just swings 7, I just 2k out, and if he jams, then I get maximum giant value, and in the case I drew a brick off of life, then I could sack that instead. But yeah, he just swings 7 and leaves 2 up, and plays a searcher, leaving 1 up. So when I was playing this game, I didn't pay attention to like my opponent leaving this up, because I think, like, I don't remember Reiju's typically playing counter events, but I guess they do now. So should probably have like kept that in mind. And then he ends up using like this beam sword thing to guard out of this, and another 1k. I swing 7 here, he takes, but I should have remembered like him eventing and 1k'ing out of this swing, and last turn when I was swinging 6s, he was giving me 2 1ks, so I don't necessarily think I needed to swing like a 7 there. Like even this could have been like an 8 or something instead. And then I didn't play anything, so I just leader ability, swing another 6, and he probably got a 2k out of life there, and then just float a bunch of Dawn. And then my opponent goes for a double Gamma Knife play, which is pretty crazy. Kind of threw me off guard, and I was like, oh crap, I'm like kind of screwed now because I don't, like, my board is non-existent. And then I rip a Rush Luffy off the top, but it doesn't have Rush just because the opponent is like so low on Dawn. So since he's holding up 2 Dawn and I know he's playing counter events now, I decided to just tap it down and try swinging 9-9 and try to see what our opponent does. And I float 1 for the Gangnam Giant. And our opponent just dumps their entire hand to not die. And then now our job this turn is to just try and survive. Our opponent does have 4, potentially 5 swings if he has another EGG in hand, but I believe they dumped. They used 1 earlier, and I think they dumped 1 or 2 during that swing there. So probably less likely that they have it. So he clears the Zorojuro, which I have to let go because I don't have any counter. I rip a Dead Man's Game, and I take both hits, and then I have to. I think about this for a bit, but he's presenting another 2 Dawn here, so I opt to use the Giant instead of the Dead Man's Game here. And then now I can tap those Dawns down and then just go for game here, and I probably have it at that point. But yeah, just again, just absolutely stealing games. I had like no right winning, but sometimes you just get lucky, I guess. Yep, that's it for today. See ya.